So I was reading the other day about...
You were reading?
I read a lot, actually.
You read a lot.
I was reading about rabies. One, to make sure I didn't have it myself, of course. But two, because... and I find this so interesting, is they say when you have rabies, you're not yourself. You can't control your anger, your emotion, or anything.
Because it attacks your brain.
Supposedly, I don't know the biophysiology behind why it works or how it works. And you basically want to bite people, or I don't think you want to bite. It's not like you're craving brains or anything.
Let me just take a chunk out of you.
Yeah. But when it happens to animals, it makes them crazy enough that they want to attack. And humans, part of our natural instinct or our natural defense mechanism is actually biting. Because teeth, we have them. It's just another weapon.
Wait, hold on a second. Claws. So we just bite?
Well, no, not necessarily. We don't have claws, right? But it's just an emergency. I can bite you, and that'll maybe ward you off or something. So it makes me think: is in some way is rabies some type of way for there to actually be a zombie apocalypse? Is that a form of zombieism? Is rabies?
So, zombies.
That's what we're talking about today. We're talking zombies.
Zombies. Hi everybody, this is Jamie Grum.
And I'm Nick Drago.
And we are Big Spoon.
Little Spoon.
Little Spoon, aww. So today what we do here is we just take out another topic out of the hat. It's always at random. You guys can send in your own submissions. We're going to talk about those random topics, have some fun, maybe go a little off topic. Today's topic is, could a zombie apocalypse happen?
And what would you do?
And what would we do?
Hell yeah.
Alright, so this is fun. This is definitely fun. But you're starting off talking about the rabies.
So when I say could a zombie apocalypse happen, right? There's the idea that there are actual facilitators of that in our world. Now, I'm not thinking of like the George Romero Walking Dead, where like people are clawing themselves out of the ground.
Yeah.
But in a sense, there are things that happen in nature that's very similar to zombies.
Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead?
What did I say?
Walking Dead.
That's a totally different thing. George Romero's Night of the Living Dead and all the Living Dead movie. I guess you could call it a movie series. So they're like an anthology, almost, right? I don't think they're connected in any way.
No, but you know what's a good show to watch? It's on Netflix.
Is it The Walking Dead?
No. It's called Black Summer. And apparently it's the same universe as the 28 Days Later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool. It kind of like goes off of different points of view in the beginning, like as it's all starting, and it's all in the same neighborhood, so you kind of see everything going on. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, so talking about rabies is because it could be a virus. It could be, it could be like a fungus, because like the ants and the fungus that gets into their heads, and they make them climb all the way to the tops of the trees so that their spores can pop out.
haven't heard of this before.
You've never heard of the zombie fungus thing?
So it's a fungus that infects the ants, forcing them to go really high and then release all the fungal spores. And just continue the cycle.
And it keeps continue the cycle. Yeah.
Okay.
It literally will control them. And this isn't the only case of fungus doing that. Like this, there's other bugs that get affected by this fungus that just takes over their minds. It's really, really freaky. And you'll see it coming out of them at the end. in like little strands.
Ew.
So there's a video game I really want to play. I need to get that PlayStation 4 and finally just get to play it.
Huh.
But is the Last of Us, and
Okay.
that is based off of like a fungus that takes over people.
Because that's
the
a
same
zombie.
way.
It's a zombie thing.
It's
too,
a zombie
right?
game,
Yeah.
only it's more like it kind of like makes them crazy.
So that's how the zombies happen in that game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then there's another thing, and I've been, my wife and I are definitely like kind of, for some reason, really into Timothy Olyphant at the moment. He was in a movie called The Crazies, and it was kind of like rabies, the virus or whatever it was, just making people lose it, but in a way where they had their sanity. In a sense, like they were there. They weren't like just like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was like they're there but crazy and need to kill people. So they'd even group up together and run around and beat people up, but just in crazy ways.
Anytime I see Timothy Olyphant, I always think of one movie, Hot Fuzz. Do you remember that one?
Hot Fuzz. He was in that.
He was the gentleman with special needs, who all he can say is yarp.
That was him?
I believe so.
No. I thought that was the Hitman guy.
Also Timothy Olyphant.
No way!
Yes.
Timothy Olyphant, he is not Hitman. Nah. Okay.
I'm gonna look this up.
If he's Hitman, I literally am gonna have to watch Hitman with my wife just to see if that's actually something he's in.
Yes, he was Agent 47 in the 2007 Hitman. Yes,
God.
you didn't know that?
I had no
Wait,
clue.
where is Hot Fuzz?
So we've been watching Deadwood, and that's like kind of where this started. It's like you love to see him in this, being Seth Bullock, being like the sheriff or whatever. And it's like all of a sudden that show kind of becomes less of him, and we want to see more. So we started watching the Santa Clarita Diet, which is just so weird. We watched the first episode. We're like, do we really want to watch this? Because Timothy's literally making this whole show. The whole thing is all him.
Okay.
Drew Barrymore, she's great, but like Timothy.
Okay. I was way wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Time out.
So he was Hitman.
He was Hitman.
Okay.
This is going to blow your mind even more.
Yeah.
The guy who does the yarp in Hot Fuzz is a gentleman named Rory McCann.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to know who this is because he plays the Hound on Game of Thrones. And now you will never be able to unsee this. Right?
Oh my god.
Totally, yeah, okay.
Holy crap.
I can't wait to tell somebody else about this.
That is
I'm
a
totally
cool
blown
thing
away.
to know. Okay,
Totally blown
anyway,
away.
zombies.
Okay, this is zombies, rabies.
Yeah. How did we get off topic when we're talking about zombies?
Because you were going on The Last of Us and zombie shows that you like.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
so, crud monkeys. Okay,
What?
so we're talking about the spores, but there's I believe it's an insect that kills other insects and then almost like hijacks their brain. And like, I have to look up how this works specifically.
So this is another bug?
It's another bug that will hijack and operate other
How does
bugs.
that work?
I don't know.
So this is like the fungus, only it's another bug.
Yes.
That's some weird voodoo shit right there, man.
Sure, some weird voodoo shit indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's examples of this type of stuff in nature. There's also the zombie deer disease, and I don't remember what it was called.
That's right.
This was the big pandemic.
Yeah,
last
we were
year.
scared of this one.
And I think the CDC at this point has developed a cure, or they're
For the
close. I think so. We're afraid. It's one of those things we're afraid of it coming and attack and infecting
Because
humans.
a bigger thing, animal
And
like
deer
that.
are very important to our ecosystem. So I'm a hunter. You know, I love this type of stuff.
Just a lot pew pewing in the woods.
If that's what you want to call it, sure. But, you know, deer are really important for our ecosystem. Yeah, they eat our crops, and sometimes their numbers grow very heavy, but there are predators that rely on them as a source of food. If they die, the predators die.
Yeah.
And it's just a vicious cycle. Anyway, so there was a big fear there about this deer wasting disease where the deers they literally looked like zombies. These big spots of open wounds.
Yeah.
They're like wasting down to skin and bones. And I'm not sure if they were acting erratically or not. I don't recall reading anything like that, but they looked like zombies.
Wow.
So there are examples in nature of what we consider to be a zombie.
Yeah.
Something, that was once dead and now is alive. Whether or not, I mean, if you really think about it, if a human brain decomposes, they're more likely to be a vegetable than anything else. They're not going to have the ability to operate their motor system.
But there's certain parts of the brain, however, like I think it's the thing in the back, the cerebellum, that does control movement and balance and other things like the id that we were maybe talking about in another episode, where it's like, it's all the basic hunger, heartbeat, breathing, stuff that would just keep you going. So if it just took care of everything else and just melted all of whatever makes you human and just makes you that animal instinct.
Yeah. Well, the brain stem is really what controls all the non-human elements of what you do. The breathing, it basically keep your body, that we call that the autonomic, right?
Yes.
What your body does to stay alive.
Yeah.
Right? That's all from the brainstem. So that's why people can lose, like the chickens can lose their head.
Yeah, and just keep going.
But keep going.
That's crazy.
Like
cockroaches can live for 7 days without their head.
So there you go. That's another example in nature of something that shouldn't be alive, but still is and operating as if it is.
So it doesn't make sense.
So
in
essentially,
those movies.
if you're for something like this to happen, your prefrontal cortex would have to be totally shut down. You can't have any thoughts or feelings or emotions. But also the neural system that controls your motor, I believe that's more the parietal lobe.
Yeah.
That all has to be intact for you to be able to move as freely as a zombie does.
Yeah.
And some of them, they drag their feet and everything
some of your
else,
body is decomposing, right? So like your brain decomposes a little bit, but not all of it. So whatever this is, it has to know that it needs to keep certain things alive. But what about your muscles and, like all those things in your body that like are supposed to be healthy in order for you to move? Because if you stop breathing, right, like and you're not getting any oxygen, your muscles lock up because they're not getting any of that oxygen to, I think it breaks down, there's a certain lactic acid, I think it's called.
So what happens is oxygen is required for the muscles, right? It helps kickstart the entire chain of events that causes a muscle to go from total relaxation to what we call contraction.
Yes.
Which is when it shortens.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So you need to have
your
body needs to work.
Yeah. So breathing, that's all part of that autonomic system. If that's intact, then it's possible for oxygen to get throughout the body. So in many ways, the idea of zombies as we understand them from movies and video games and whatnot is very unlikely.
Mythical.
I don't want to say something's impossible because you never know.
Zombies, though, in the case of something like the rabies or just something that just kind of makes you stop and you're crazy, right? And so there are some video games that are like that too. And of course they have to add the effects to make you look scary as a zombie. You have to have like the breaking down stuff. Yeah. But if it's just something of just a disease that makes you lose your mind and go crazy, would that be considered zombies?
Well, I suppose that would be something we'd call it.
So I was bringing up voodoo before. I know you have a thought here, but voodoo, apparently there's this whole thing where there's people in I forgot what it's called. You have to look this up, but apparently there's some sort of like voodoo magic that makes zombies, but what it is like drugging someone down so much. So put a drug. Remember, what was that stuff called? Bath salts. And the guy who ate the homeless dude's face.
That's very true. I think in a sense, you're not wrong. Is that it could put you in a state of
like violent psychosis.
Exactly, in a state of, I like that term, violent psychosis. But to maintain something like that,
you have to keep giving it. Yeah.
And so that's not really possible. If you're talking about a zombie outbreak, for something like that to happen, our air would have to be contaminated with whatever chemicals you're discussing.
That would be crazy.
And in a case like
in
that,
the air.
everybody would be... You're talking...
Yeah.
That's
unless you're immune to it.
That's an existential crisis right there.
Yeah.
Because if it's in the air, we're all breathing it, we're all susceptible to getting that type of disease, disorder, whatever you want to call it. Those are the types of things that the CDC is out there making sure it doesn't happen, trying to keep the American people alive along with the rest of the people of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a real possibility of a similar thing happening to a zombie apocalypse. But what's more likely to happen, I think, is whatever creature is... I shouldn't say creature. Whatever undead human... No, that's not right either.
So undead wouldn't really be it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be undead.
Now, this is stuff my wife would say, too. She'd shoot it down. Every time I bring up zombies, just can't happen. There's no way, unless you're talking about a virus that makes you lose it. And then technically, that's maybe not a zombie, but... just some sort of epidemic.
Let's just say infected human.
Yeah.
Right? Those infected humans are either going to die eventually because they're not...
They also need to have sustenance too.
Well, that's why they...
So then you have to be able to drink and eat.
Yeah. Hydration is also incredibly important. So in that sense, I don't see it as a possibility. I see more so the possibility of us losing our minds over something,
Wow. So, I mean, we'd have to... how do we research something like that? Because if we're going to go and research zombies, we're going to find a lot of stuff that is kind of...
I don't think we're going to find anything specific. What I think we will find is more confirmation of some of the things we were saying. These naturalistic zombies, things that occur in nature that we weren't aware of before. I think we'll see examples of that. I don't think we're going to find specifics on the science behind zombies, because I'm sure there's some researchers out there doing work on this, and if you're a researcher and you have research on this, email us. We hate
forks at gmail.com.
We hate forks at gmail.com. Thank you.
I got you.
Yeah, I just hiccuped a little bit in my mouth. So okay, let's totally bring this thing down the rabbit hole.
Cool. So zombies happen,
right? It happens.
It happens.
What do you do?
Before losing your goddamn mind, because I feel like what's going to happen is stuff that we kind of see in those shows, the breaking down of society. I am not nearly prepared for any type of crisis, and I feel like it might be good to have a store just for a couple of weeks, just something just that you got, so Patriot Supply, I know this is plugging that, and we don't even use it, they're not advertising or anything, but we kind of bought this thing called Patriot Supply, and this stuff, they're in bags, and they're just good for a long time that, we can have some food, it's just in a little box. But also, protection. The breaking down of society is going to be the first thing before everything starts spreading. Yeah. And you need to be able to protect your own.
Did you ever see Fear the Walking Dead?
I love that show.
I stopped after the second season because it just wasn't doing it for me. Yeah. I stopped watching The Walking Dead for similar reasons.
The latest thing is they're just dropping good characters that were really tying the show together, and that just... So yeah, with The Walking Dead, I'm done. After my one of the characters that I really liked is gone.
Well, the comic book just ended.
Yes.
And it
ended now they're veering off.
Pretty miserably in my term. But either way.
I just need to read those. But the Fear the Walking Dead was something new, and I really thought it was refreshing. Well, it just got to a certain point where...
So, the reason I bring it up is I think they did a good job showing the breakdown of society.
Yeah.
Because unlike Walking Dead, where Rick Grimes wakes up and bam, there's zombies.
It already happened.
Yeah, we actually got to see things break down.
That was great.
And so,
if I could just rewatch that constantly, that was the best part about the whole series.
So what I think here is that you're gonna, let's say zombies break out tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
Tonight.
Sunday, as we're recording
Tonight's gonna be a good night.
Exactly.
I would listen to that as I'm smashing brains.
You remind me of what's the Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun
We brought up Hot Fuzz earlier. Now
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
You know what I'm actually really excited for is Zombieland 2.
I saw the trailer for that.
I'm watching Zombieland 1 with Michelle. She has not seen it.
That's one of my top 5 favorite
movies
movies
a really
ever.
Good one.
Yeah. So anyway, you wake up tomorrow. Zombies have broken out.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to go to work.
Yep.
As usual.
Well, I have plenty of cars to take.
But that's not even going to be a thing. You are literally going to go through your entire day. Maybe somebody casually brings up to you, hey, did you hear this weird thing that happened out in Nowheresville, Ohio?
Yep.
Like, it's not even going to be a thing that registers in your brain.
Okay, but here's the thing, because we've watched these shows happen, so if I see that, I'm like, well, that's fucking weird. I feel sick all of a sudden. I need to leave and go home, and as I'm driving home, pack everything. Because now I know. In these scenarios, they don't have those shows that zombies don't exist.
I feel like that wouldn't happen, though. We're so...
No. Don't.
I
wouldn't say that we're desensitized. If it's something...
But it's true. Is that... Listen, you could go through the entire day without reading the news or hearing something that happened.
Say I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, let's say you don't look at your phone tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You could go home. You might work 2 or 3 days before this outbreak is big enough that even reaches this area, for all you know.
Yeah.
And realistically, we've had outbreaks before. What happens? Remember the Black Plague? That was a big example. What happened a few years ago? That person was contaminated, and that was it. It ended. A huge outbreak like that. We're too prepared. We're not prepared enough that, like, if we woke up tomorrow and there's zombies, like, fuck, half the people that are still alive for that are dead.
Yeah, so it would have to happen. It would have to happen quickly and affect people all at once.
It's just not possible.
Or if it was engineered. And it's in everybody, and then someone just goes...
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms right there. But you can't just turn on and off a gene like that at this moment.
Nanotechnology.
Well, if we want to tie into a few episodes ago, we talked about
the future.
Neuralink in the future, and maybe somebody could...
That's true. We were talking about the AI slaves that were just literally in people.
Well, if let's say you get this Neuralink implant and you now have a phone in your brain, for those of you to catch you up, essentially it's the idea. This is a thing that's being worked on. A company called Neuralink. It's owned by Elon Musk, part of Tesla, SpaceX.
He got too high one night and just decided I'm gonna just wire some shit into people's brains.
There you go. So are we wearing the same shirt? No, yours is much darker.
No.
From the camera here,
yes.
It looks so much more similar. We are wearing short pants.
I have cargo shorts because
I'm not a cargo short person.
No man should go without having a pair of these. Pockets and then pockets.
I am completely against cargo shorts.
Well, you have simply not lived.
Oh, I've had them.
I'm also a dad, and if you are a dad without cargo shorts, you are a sad dad. Bad had. Dr. Seuss. Learn something.
Okay, I'm not really sure where you're going with that, but okay. So back to my thought here, which was Neuralink. Mm-hmm. So if you get this implant in your brain, it's essentially a phone in your brain. You could send messages to each other. You'll always have that that level of technology on you. You won't even have to look at your phone. You can just think to look something up and it's there. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody were to hack into that, I have no idea the level of control it would have over your brain, but maybe there's the possibility there that, there could be some 14-year-old boy in Russia flips a switch and suddenly the president's dead. Who knows?
Yeah. But, for that, I mean, you really couldn't have the, infecting effect either. Because it's just a switch, and if you have it, you have it, and then you're just having a bunch of people.
Yeah, and then a few hours, Amazon can just shut it all off.
Yeah, and be like, oh, that was weird. half our population.
Yeah, and then just, blame it on like a
Yeah.
weather balloon or something.
Yeah. So, yeah. Alright, so say like it is just some sort of... Say we're thinking at the traditional zombies, though. Right? And it's just like someone's getting bit and in a small town that no one realizes what's going on. It just happens to be in like that perfect situation where the government has no clue it's happening, and it spreads enough where it's just going as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So the government can just go and just like, or they could just nuke it, but of course they don't want to do that until it's the last resort. So another thing is the nukes. Sometimes they throw down fire bombs into the towns. Would they nuke areas? Where's the best place to be? So say I'm at work, right? And all of a sudden I realize, looking outside, holy shit, everyone's getting attacked outside. I need to get out of here and say I make it out, and I grab my family as quickly as we can. We got to go somewhere.
Yes. The U.S. government would never nuke U.S. soil.
No.
That just won't happen. And honestly, unless you live in a major city, it's not even worth it for anybody to try and do that.
Yeah.
So what do you do, right? You have your wife, you have your kid. First off,
pack a few supplies, like food or whatever.
Let's say you have your Patriot box. Is that what it's called?
Patriot Supply. I'm not plugging it at all. It's just that's the thing I have.
Okay. You need some weapon to ward off zombies.
Yeah.
You're going to need some kind of... I hope you have a sound mind, because you're basically killing humans as you do this. Because you have no idea what's in their brains, if they're still alive or not.
Yeah. So you're going to go crazy because you're just like, do I really kill this thing that's trying to attack me? And it's a person, so...
You have to be able to get over that fact if
Yeah.
you're trying to save your family,
like
I suppose.
Abraham and his family and his wife took the kids and ran because he was like defending his family.
Yeah, okay.
But he was defending his family against real people.
Dead.
Walking Dead.
So essentially, you're going to want to go someplace you feel safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want a place with a lot of visibility, so you can see what else is happening around you. You're going to want to see if the zombie's far away or close up, right? You're going to want the tools to make sure you maintain whatever you have. So whether you're building walls, if you're having, you have to cut down grass and trees and everything, so you have clear shooting lanes.
You're going to need to have a lot of people with different sets of skills.
Well, that would be helpful, but you might not have that. You might get, Jim, who is in his basement playing video games during this, and you might have Margaret over there who's asthmatic and 87 years old, and that could be your only help. So, everybody has skills, but not as...
It's like you're going to have to just take charge and do what you can.
Yeah, the thing about The Walking Dead is, like, all of these characters went from living a normal life to living the life they live now. They change, they evolve, and the strong survive.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a wife and a child, and no offense, but they're going to slow you down.
My wife will be able to take charge. If anyone, my wife's going to be the Rick Grimes of the situation.
Okay, well then there you go. But you still have a child who makes noise. Well, it's not going to be able to sit still, What was that? Is that your phone?
Android.
What is it making? What is it doing?
It could be any number of things. So we have an alert, everybody.
Zombies broke out.
Zombies broke out.
What the hell is happening?
Suggestion for Jamie.
What is it suggesting? Stop talking about
Suggesting something Netflix. No, here we go. We have an alert, everybody.
Yeah.
So this is scary. All right, ready for this one?
Imagine if this was like the real zombie outbreak.
This is kind of crazy that I got an alert right now. All right. I think we might need to take cover or something, or go and air quality alert.
Oh, okay. Well, just in case, we're going to take a commercial break, and if we return, then we'll talk more about zombies. If not, it means they have broken out, and...
We're dying.
We are dying. Somebody please send help. Hi, friends. I'm Nick Drago, host of Sports with
Nick Drago. Are you looking for a podcast that's going to give you all the sports news and information and just have a lot of fun doing it? Well, this might be the one for you. It's Sports with Nick Drago. We're on every Sunday, and you can find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Twitter, and the YouTube. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. We'll talk all about some sports. We'll have a little fun, maybe some laughs. You know how it goes. You can find us wherever you like to listen to your podcasts.
And welcome back to the show.
Hey, everybody.
Jamie and I did some research while we were gone. So, did you find anything good? I found some. I confirmed a lot of stuff.
I found some cool stuff.
Okay.
One thing I kind of was a little bit wrong off, but it really is like the same thing. So, the fungus. Remember, I was talking about that and how it affects ants. So, the name of it is called, let me bring it up here, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. And so they're all part of this, like, genus of cordyceps. And so the way that it works is once it affects the ant's mind, so it gets inside and it penetrates through the exoskeleton, and it tricks the ant into thinking it needs to leave the nest and go down the tree. So all these are in the trees, and they go down the tree, and when they're about 10 inches from the ground, they clamp down, so they bite down onto the stem of some sort of plant to hold it in place, where it'll wait there to die. And then after a few days, after it, the fungus is like literally eating the insides of it and gaining all its nutrients, it then pops through the back of its head and makes this little like flowering thing where then it releases its spores to go and affect new ones. It's kind of crazy, and this is not the only instance where this happens, because cordyceps a lot of them are body snatchers. So I found that some of that information on National Geographic, and the other one was it's funny because I was looking it up for the video game The Last of Us, and that's actually they call it the cordyceps on there. But I also found something else that's really interesting when it comes to cordyceps. So let me just bring up the other post. Scientific American. This is a blog. So again, if you want to disprove me at all, but I also found the same thing being listed somewhere else about the fact that one of these cordyceps, Cordyceps subsessilis, has been used to derive immunosuppressive drugs used in organ transplants. And it's kind of crazy that we're using something like that to help with keeping people alive, and meanwhile a lot of them are body snatchers and making them like zombies.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're using that same type of strand. The cordyceps as a drug is just submuting the... Sorry.
It's the same because we use fungus all the
time. The autoimmune system. This fungus does the same thing. Is it suppresses the autoimmune system and then causes this ant to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And I found a lot more examples, actually, of these types of funguses. I'm not going to go through all of them.
Yeah.
But there was one here that, like, it hijacks, this fungus will hijack a cicada.
Oh, the cicadas.
And then explode from its butt. And again, like, spread more of its stuff.
I saw something about that, too.
There are a lot of examples of... And it's mostly some kind of fungus or drug that infects... And for some reason, it's mostly insects, too. Will infect the insect, cause it to do whatever this fungus or so needs it to do, and then just leave the body and move on.
Yeah.
The other example I had... So this is the one I was talking about, was a jewel wasp. And what the jewel wasp does, it injects venom. I think it usually just does this to cockroaches, but it'll inject venom into the cockroach's brain, shutting down its ability to walk, and then it can control. It has the ability to control its ability to, I think, fly. Is it just fly? It might just be fly or walk. I'm not 100% sure, but essentially, it can control the cockroach's ability to ambulate or move from one section to another. It's going to lay its eggs in the cockroach and then leave. The cockroach then goes about its business, holding on to this eggs inside of its body. The larvae hatch, then eat the cockroach alive.
That's creepy.
And then the jewel wasp goes off and does this thing. And there are examples.
Ugh.
Some bees do this as well.
Mm.
So it's very common in like the bee world, apparently. And then the other thing we talked about was CWD, chronic wasting disease,
Yes.
which is the zombie deer
The
we
deer,
were talking
yeah.
about. So it's actually, there is no cure yet. They said 20% of deer surveyed in 2006, 2007 were infected with this zombie deer.
20%.
There's a very large portion, and it's not just
bigger now.
It's not just in the U.S. either. It's, I think they said Korea and Canada, and there are a number of other places
So
where
what
deer
happens?
are.
So you're a hunter, right? And so you go out there,
Yeah.
and if you encountered one of these deers and you can't tell from a distance, but if you shot it, I mean, like, you probably shouldn't eat that
So the
one.
deer. So they said it can be within the deer for up to a year before they start seeing.
Oh, so you won't even know.
You might not. You might not.
But for 20%,
So let's
that's
say-
a high percentage.
Let's say you take a shot at a deer. Now, realistically, if you're hunting bow, you're going to be close enough to a deer when you take that shot that you're going to see some severe wasting or wasting at all. If you're shooting rifle and maybe you're trying to peg the deer at 150, 200 yards, yeah, you might not see that. So what I actually found recommendations for this. And so what they found is, first off, don't shoot, handle, or eat meat from a deer or elk. This is all from the CDC, by the way.
Yeah.
If it looks sick or is acting strangely,
Yeah.
or found dead. Don't just eat dead animal that you didn't kill yourself.
Don't eat those dead animals on the side of the road, you sillies.
Oh, possum. It specifies roadkill on here, actually. So it's funny you said that. When you're field dressing a deer,
Yeah.
right, you want to obviously make sure you're wearing rubber gloves, which I hope you're all doing already, hunters. Make sure that
protection.
you minimize how much you're handling their organs and everything else, and just don't use knives that you're then going to use to eat with. Which again, I'm not sure who's out there doing that, but wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. And you can also have your meat checked. You can have it tested beforehand too, if you're concerned.
Okay.
If it's commercially processed, make sure you ask where that deer was processed, and if that meat was tested, because you might never know.
Wow.
And if it does test positive for CWD, I'm going to say this into the mic. Please don't eat it. Don't eat that, please.
Unless you want to become a zombie.
So it's
Give it a shot.
Now,
Wait, so
there's
does
no-
it actually hurt you?
no. There's no confirmation that humans can get this. There's no confirmation at all. It mostly infects woodland animals. But what they said is that deer and elk, because we consume them, there is potential that we could carry such a virus.
Because mad cow disease.
But there's no proof that we can be infected with it. They did say that it might, and there's not many studies on this, but it may infect human-like animals, chimpanzees, monkeys, those types of things, primates.
Yeah. So if you see a
Non-human
chimpanzee,
primates.
going hunting, maybe just let him know. Don't eat the meat.
And call animal control because you just saw a chimpanzee while you're hunting. So, just throwing that out there for everybody. Not a good thing.
He just turns around and looks at you. Go!
And now apparently Caesar from Planet of the Apes is also out there as well. Well, friends, if you like what you heard today, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
We love forks
No,
at gmail.com.
No, it's We Hate Forks. That's our email. WeHateForks@gmail.com. Email us, send us your suggestions or any ideas, things you want to
Yes.
talk about. Zombies,
Any
we're happy
zombie
to answer.
stuff,
Yeah,
please.
any zombie stuff, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. A special thanks, of course, to Johanna Drago. She did this. She helped us with the set and the logo. Thanks to all our fans out there who are listening to our shows.
Yep.
And
We love hearing from you guys.
we do, yeah. We love hearing from our fans. So feel free to send us messages.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for today. And thanks for being
Next
here.
week, another topic.